All right, we're back. We're back. And of course, we run into the first bit of issues. Can't see me. There we go. That's a quick fix. We'll adapt at that one. So we're trying a couple things and we're gonna try to go at this vertical live. So just bear with me as I make this possible. And again, it's always about trying new things and trying to expand what you can do, what works, what doesn't work. I think we're up. I think we're up and working right now. I may jump back in and out trying to make sure that things look like they're supposed to. And just give me one sec as I, here we go. And if you think I'm just crazy, like you got to pop into the live. The other one to see what I'm talking about. But we're just trying to work on resizing things to make sure everything looks good. There's going to be two chats going on. And I just at this point we got to do priority goes to like the super chats. If anyone has anything to say there, that's the probably easiest way to get my attention here as we're playing. But nevertheless, we are building it as we fly it. I think that looks better. Okay. So yeah. So welcome back to the channel. For those that are just seeing this live, welcome. We try to do these lives once a week, and we're getting to the point where we're jumping in. We're doing a couple different mobile lives, and just in effect to, bring more. I don't say awareness, but expand the channel. We've done a cooking live, and I say we like the royal we because we got to be in this together. But we've done a cooking live. We've done gym content where I've worked out in the morning, trying to inspire people, see if this is what you're about, see if this is what makes sense for you. Come on through. It's early, right? And that usually is the deterrent factor. Give me one sec. All day I'm freezing because I'm thinking I'm fighting a fever. And the minute it's time to go live, what happens? Right? Start sweating. So I don't want to be burn calories that way. So if you're up to it, we'll be probably live, five, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, plenty of time. It's early. And right now, I think the most people we've had in the chat was maybe like six people that are getting up that early. So like we being I want to start this, this live stream a little differently. I want to look and see what was popular, what happened during the week, especially on the channel. And I think the easiest thing was, or the most poignant thing, definitely was the Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb. And I made a video on that, and people had a lot to say about that, even across the interwebs. I think one, we like seeing Black people make it, right? And we like seeing them make it in diverse areas. I've always respected comedians. One rule I know: you don't beef with comedians. You leave them. You absolutely. Comedians can come up with stuff on the fly. I'm a big fan of Wild 'N Out. I like the show. I like what the show brings. All that's always hilarious. So the last thing I want to do is get on the bad side of Corey Holcomb. I've been to one of his shows. It was in Dallas, and one of my friends, he got us all tickets. It was real smooth with him. But just watching him, and I think real comedians can riff, right? They can go back and forth with the crowd. They can joke. Like, when someone's genuinely funny and doesn't have a bunch of pre-canned jokes ready to go. That was Corey Holcomb, just on the fly, go, 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 go. He knew his material in and out. Can't say anything bad about that. Especially when you bring on new talent, new young talent, and you get a chance to nurture them in front of a crowd. We respect, like, I respect wit. I respect people that can do stuff like that. It's To me, it's completely incredible. It's amazing. Why I would not want to find myself on the other side of that, I think becomes completely obvious. I think, um, but on the other hand, Anton Daniels, right? And I respect the hell out of Anton Daniels, especially what he's been able to sort of do and create. I respect it, right? The work ethic, the hustle. Um, whenever, if you ever get into the space where you're like a creator on YouTube, and part of what they recommend is that you look at they call it competitors, but not really competitors, right? That's a million subscriber channel, and at the time I was 2. Yeah, I was 2 subscribers. But I recognize his work ethic. What you see a lot of when people make it, people, especially when people make it big in these spaces, a lot of times they get the burnout, they fall back or they change up the content. They start doing different videos, different types of stuff. The tally, going from pranks to nuisance pranks to IRL stream. Stuff like this happens, and you see people sort of fall out. And then when you get those documentaries about what happened to them, the fall of this or that, and you always imagine, you always say to yourself, if I were that, if I had the reach, the monetary access, I would never be like that. I'd be on my grind, I'd be on my hustle, right? When you start looking at the metrics of what people can potentially make on YouTube, and then you listen to some of the stuff that Anton Downs is saying about the Millionaire Mondays, the podcast, when he's giving out information, I mean, yes, I agree, he's a little braggadocious, right? That's always been a thing for me. He's a little braggadocious, right? But that being said, cool. I can forgive that. I can deal with that. And it took me a while to sort of get used to that. Where it's like, all right, every other video was about he does this, he does this, he has this. Showing up in the Versace sort of robe. Okay, I thought it was ostentatious, but I also don't have a Versace robe, so I feel like I can't really comment about some of those things in that conversation. So you just say, all right, cool, keep it moving, right? Cool. But when you have this body of work that becomes undeniable, same thing with Corey Holcomb. You've got a body of work that's undeniable. We have to, at some respect, we got to respect that. We got to understand, yo, that's dope. That's dope. So to see these two get together, and yeah, there is part of that where people are complete. They don't like what he's talking about. They don't like he's stepping on people, he's belittling people, and cool, right? I'm not saying that's cool. I'm saying I understand at a certain point, we know we are not going to agree with everything someone said. I'm gonna eat the meat, spit out the bones, and then kind of push you farther and farther away. Right. If you're saying stuff that, all right, I find sort of egregious, and some of the stuff he does say, find egregious. Some of the stuff Corey Holcomb says, I find egregious, but it's hilarious. Right. There's a difference in the delivery, which someone mentioned on the channel. The delivery matters a lot. The way he gets some things across matters a lot. And again, I think Anton is very good at rubbing people the wrong way. I think he throws shots at people passive aggressively. And there is a difference. You can be mad, you can be upset. There's a difference in intelligence. I can see Anton has more book academia smarts. Corey makes no bones about where he's from and how he gets it. Again, I was going in a fight. If I had to pick one in a battle of back and forth and like debate, I'm never going to step across like a comedian because the jokes will write themselves. And then I'll be a meme. And then it'll continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. Right. Until my mom is calling me saying, what's going on? Like, you going through it. I say, yeah, I get it. I get it. You're right. But between all of that, what we have is two, we would say titans, because that may be early, right? But you have two forces in respective spaces now coming together to have a conversation that I think sometimes what we forget when we're imitating media. That's what this is, right? That's what YouTube is. Right? It's a search, it's a giant search algorithm for videos, and you get to see what different opinions is out there. But what we ignore, what we're not privy to, is that when people are going to be interviewed, they sit down and do like a pre-interview question. They go back and forth, the heart hash things out where they get to say, hey, this is off limits. We're not going to talk about this. Yeah, yeah, bad habit alternative. Yeah. We're not, friends about we don't like that. We like a little bit of loyalty or a lot of bit of loyalty. If you caught the what was it? The stream I did this morning just in the gym and just riffing, talking about something like that. Yeah, I touched on that just about loyalty, especially among men, and how some things break up relationships. But when you have these two people in the space, these two giants. Oh, by the way, listen, on your way in, hit the like button. We're trying to stream on two different platforms right now, vertical and horizontal. But either way, like hit the like button on your way in. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna try to be back and forth with both chats to see what's happening. Right now, I got my eyes on the vertical on the horizontal one. But we're trying new things. We're trying to expand the channel, and one of these things I think would be great. Just first we're going to do this, and then we're going to try to stream on other platforms. But we want to build the base, and the best way to do that is the like button. If you feel so inclined, donate. I really appreciate any type of support. The channel is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I get a little more requests here to do X, Y, and Z. Include this, include this. And sometimes I think I know I'm doing too much. I've got too many people that love and care about me telling me go to bed. Just go to bed. But I'm like, oh, one more video. Let me load this up. Let me do one thing. But it's a pleasure. I like building this community. And if part of that is no, I know I'll get some rest. But so you have these two forces in these spaces, especially the black men. So usually what you would see on media, you'd have these pre-interview questions. You'd lay out a lot of stuff. Hey, let's not talk about that. Let's not go here. Let's not discuss these things because they tend to devolve into this direction. We all have trigger points, and some of us deal with these triggers. We know what it is, and some of us, I had this conversation just yesterday. We wall off our triggers, like we don't walk towards them. We just put a yellow caution tape around them and say, "Don't approach." That doesn't mean I've dealt with it. I just say I'm going to avoid it. And eventually, over time, that blows up, especially when you deal with other people. When you bring Anton, you bring Corey Holcomb into a space, there are things that are being said, again, that we know are triggers. I know, and again, I never want to be a person to presuppose to know things, but I know Anton purposely chose some of his words to get under Corey Holcomb's skin, especially when Corey Holcomb is, a man of a different era where homosexuality was not a thing that they play with. It wasn't a thing to be joked with. It wasn't at all. So when you start saying, yo, you suck the blah, 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 that's going to trigger. And I know when you look at the other side, yeah, Corey's throwing shots at him. But if you want to position yourself like someone like Anton does, that I'm sort of above the fray. I'm here to enlighten you. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to show you that things can be better. This is how we got to do it. He talked on subsequent lives about voting and the political movement. He talked about stuff like this. So if you know you go into that show, you got to comport yourself in a better manner. This is what I think was most disappointing for me watching Anton. I know you know better, but sometimes there's like a battery in your back. Sometimes you want to flex. Sometimes you wanted people to know that you're hard, that you're the guy. But when, to me, it comes across as not essentially punching down, because I wouldn't say, Corey Hogan was an easy target. Again, meetings are not something I would ever play with, ever play with. But you going with someone on a show, and there's got to be a modicum of respect that happens when you go on someone else's platform. Invited, not invited, whatever. There's a modicum of respect you're supposed to. You go to someone's house, you're supposed to bring a gift. You're supposed to be polite. You're supposed to observe uh, the weird looking towels that you're not supposed to dry your hands on. You're supposed to look at the plastic wrap on the couch and not question it. You're supposed to do these things. You're supposed to ask when you come in, shoes off, shoes on. These are just normal things that you know better to do. So when you come in there and you violate, it looks bad, especially when you hold yourself to a different caliber. If I were to start bashing women and saying, that this and that and stuff that would have my mom blowing up my phone and my aunt blowing up my phone, I'd be held to that task. Like, hey, you've held yourself and we know you to be better. But it looks bad. Right? It looks bad. On Corey Holcomb's side, it's like, well, you know what type of man. You know there's differences. You know the way he moves and thinks is different. It's not the same. And to sort of press and check it, okay, well, where are we gonna go from here? Who wins when we do this? And I'm not really a fan of thinking about things in wins and losses because there's a winner and loser. And when there's just two black men on a platform that can garner, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views, I would think we want a better representation of us. This is one of the reasons I hate platform panel sort of discussions where it's just black people yelling, screaming, and wait for the next gotcha moment rather than having an actual dialogue and conversation that goes back and forth. But let me issue that caveat. I was invited on one. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna go. But I know I'm a infinitesimal channel in fact. But if something like that happened, I get it. You want to go for exposure, but you always want to be a positive sort of force. You think like Trip Fontaine when on was it last night conversation? People watched specifically for him because you knew what you were going to get. If he suddenly flipped it and behaved otherworldly, you'd be surprised. You'd be concerned. So my position I took on it was very simple. There's no winners here. Not the audience, not Corey, not Anton. And the internet was full of people picking sides, saying, well, he didn't say this again. He didn't meet him outside. We all lost watching them and having this be the representation of who we consider better. We lost, right? And we reveled in it. And it's not uncommon. It's not new. It's not something where we can go back and say, my God, how did this happen? We know how it happened. This is sort of what our culture sort of brings forth. Instead of saying, yo, this is not the way. Right. And I'm sure there's a bunch of channels, a bunch of creators saying the same thing. I wish we knew better. And I wish we did better. On that very same thought, you saw uh Cam Newton and Lady London have their conversation, have their moment is where and I wanted to do a video on that, but I find I find sometimes Cam Newton stuff is a little thick to get through. It's a little bit much. Um, but I loved how we sometimes think we have a monopoly on talent, on intellectualism, and you forget there's plenty of smart. I don't have that. I don't have that problem. I've been around smart women all my life, right? And people that will humble you, that go back and forth with you and talk about things that's like challenging, from academia to street smarts. So I know intelligent, unless you're getting down to the nitty gritty little moments, then you don't really see the separation. But we shouldn't have been surprised. I mean, the only surprise is that he actually allows someone with a modicum of intelligence on that show, and he allowed himself to sort of be exposed. Again, this is why you do pre-interview questions. This is why you do thorough research on the people you bring on then, and then you ask enlightened questions. You don't do sometimes doing stuff off the cuff. It's fine. It's fluid. It feels good. It feels like you connect with people. But other times it exposes you. And I think Cam Newton got exposed asking these dumb questions. I mean, asking about your birthday and talking about constellations and talking about I, the first thing I thought when I was watching the clips, I said, "Is he high? Is he high?" Like, especially when people would sit there and simply fact check them and say, "No, here's your birthday." Like, here's your birthday. I thought the part about being his mom's favorite son, but she never admit it. I thought that was cute, but that's something I say to my mom all the time, right? But that's in complete jest. We all know who the favorite of the siblings are. That's my there's no question about it. He's an absolute gem. So those were the big topics that hit the channel. I think that hit social media mainly. And of course, then there's a political strife going on. And I want to find a way where we can talk about that with a little more nuance because those get very, very polarized from watching ICE go sort of, wild, wild west while also watching people think that retribution and doxing these people and their families is somehow, tit for tat. I think I would only caution that everyone remember, uh, yeah, Jazz. She's just embarrassing. I don't. I'm not surprised why you didn't enjoy that. Uh, we have to remember that the federal government does not forget. Does not. So do with that what you will. Protect yourself. Protect your family. That goes. And again, that's genderless. That's any side sort of advice. We just want you to be safe. So listen, we're going to continue with the show and the topic, right? It may be a little misleading because I was trying to find a good way to encapsulate everything. The topic of the show is like why why women attracted men with multiple baby mamas, but it's more about attraction, right? Why we attracted to dysfunction. When you see someone's life, and it's easy to see someone's life these days, you watch it, you see it, it's on social media, put in your face. Most people will be blunt or they'll let a lot of things slide. But if you get with a man with 8 kids and you hope that somehow you would be different as the ninth, well, what's the expectation? But before we just accept that, we want to sort of dig a couple layers deep and say, well, what made you attracted to that? Right? We'll get into that. That'll be the main topic tonight. But we got a show. We got a little bit of show ahead of us, and I want to matriculate this ball down the field. Let's go. So forgive me. I keep seeing misplace my soundboard. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So again, as we go section section, right? We want to do this like a show. We want to do this like an entertaining little this or that. So, like, hit the like button on your way in or your way out. Consider subscribe to the channel. Yeah, and so feel free to donate, especially super chats. Get the attention right now. I'm trying to focus on one chat. I'll switch over sometime between halfway segment to see what the other chat is doing. But we got moderators on both sides. If you have anything that you want covered on a segment, feel free to email me, Mrsochimaeze at in the description. But we're going to keep going. For those of you that are new here, we'll go segment to segment, like a TV show, right? And you can don't have to listen to me just kind of riff the entire time. You get a little bit of a break. So, love and money is always about love and or money, especially sometimes with couples and sometimes just with the Black community. One of the things that is trying or upsetting is how quickly the Black dollar is gone and how quickly it circulates and it is out of us out there. You get paid and then it's gone. When we see other more successful races, that money tends to make loops. They buy from each other, they invest with each other, invest in each other. And it's something that we aren't kind of before we can understand that there was information that was kind of missing. We didn't have access to it. Now we know. Right? And I get it. Before you get in, before you get upset, before you get mad, and you're like, yo, I invest.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
I do what I gotta do. No. What we're saying is when you go to the Black restaurant and it's 3 or 4 times overpriced, and you look and you say, I'm not gonna buy this. Right? I wanted to support, and each of us had experiences like that. We wanted to support, but when we got there, the oxtails and gravy was $50 by itself and no sides. So people were just like,
You serious?
I what are we doing? Like this doesn't make any sense. So it's a failing on our in our community. We sometimes have this expectation that we're supposed to do just because we're Black. Do this because I'm this. That's it. Right? You should do that. Right? So also listen, moderators, if anything's particular had been done on the chat that I need to address, just jump in this one and let me know. I can switch over. But yeah, we'll continue.
My clients that are non-African American, they do a way better job of not spending their damn money. But for some reason, our people like to spend money like it's 1999. I got clients that damn near have the same job, same income, same, married, 2 kids in school or private school. But the Caucasian clients got a lot more in their portfolio because we like to take out money like it's crazy. And I just don't understand it. Like we have all the same bills. Caucasian got the same bills that we have, but for some reason we spend money. Like if I could get to the point to have us as a community stop spending money, reinvest your money and grow, oh my gosh. It'd be crazy. Crazy for me, compensation wise, but crazy for our culture.
Yeah, I agree. But I hate when you have takes like this that ignore the very real issue. Right? Being able to invest requires you to, one, have a level of financial literacy that is not seen in our community. Being able to invest requires you to have your bills, your debt sort of taken care of. And then being able to invest means you're supposed to have discretionary money into invest. A lot of us get caught up with status. I think sometimes that is what we're trying to achieve. That's what we're looking for. We want to be known to be doing well, regardless of what the past due red letter notice on our bills that are arriving every single day say. We are so obsessed with status, with appearing to have this. I get it, right? When we're all doing poorly, when we're all struggling, it makes sense that the easiest thing to do, to say, to see would be, hey, look, I'm doing a little bit better than you. Here it is. Here's the proof. My Murcielago's outside, but I'm going to ignore that I can't afford this at any sort of point in time. I don't have the funds. I've never had the funds, but it makes me look good, especially, and this is for men. When we look at our desire for women, and we think the easiest way, the most simplest way is to show the wealth, show that I have this. We've heard and we've accepted, we've seen, hey, money is a factor. If I can display this, I can get the baddest. If I have the baddest, I've got the baddest status. So when we have to absolve and forgive ourselves for sort of this one is programming, two at this point, we're our own jailers. We're keeping ourselves right here in this place. It's hard to give advice, to talk to people, to have them understand what is going wrong in their lives monetarily when they're in the thick of it. You think back to when you were in high school, when you were pining over Shorty. No one could tell you anything about her. Nothing. You would forgive any indiscretion, anything. You were so up your own ass. It did not matter what you saw. It did not matter what happened. That's the same thing we do. We're just adults, with the ability to pay $1,200 a month for a charger. I saw, and I probably should include this in this segment. I saw this creator talking about, get the $1,200 payment. He's got a BMW, right? The ones that don't come with blinkers, the ones that get behind you and flash your lights. You got a BMW, and he's more like with the idea, that YOLO idea. You only live once, so might as well enjoy it. And listen, I like stuff. People that know me in real life, they know I like stuff. Like, jazz, garage, and I like stuff, right? I'm no stranger. I've got a cologne collection, 60 or 70 colognes, and not the Hugo Boss that you had in high school, but good stuff. Good, actual good stuff. I like stuff, but I know I have to build the asset first. I have to build the asset class first. YOLO isn't enough because that indicates one of the biggest issues that we have here is the lack of generational wealth, is the lack of generational thinking. And it's easy to just say those words, but it's hard to put those in practice when it comes down to you saying, I am going to do for a group of people related to me and then increasingly distantly related to me, I will never meet. I would never ever meet, but I'm going to create a way, I'm going to create a life that is better for them. I've got the absolute pleasure of actually meeting my niece and seeing her and playing with her and just watching her grow. And it invigorates me to say, yes, this is what it's for. If I never have kids, the line continues. Here, I'm creating stuff for her and then possibly her children down the line. That's the goal. It's not a selfish one. It's probably the closest thing you can have to altruistic with the little tinge of selfishness because it is your blood, it is your line. That is generational. That is how some of these other races think. And it's not something that they need to be retaught or restructured the way they think. We do. We have to say, yes, I want the glitz, I want the glam, but I want it at the right time. I want it at the right moment. Oh, right there. You can see the photo, my R8. I saw that in Iron Man. It changed my life. How many years ago? Like the first Iron Man, when he pulled up in the R8, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, what is that? Right? I mean, his was self-driving and That's just movie magic. But I saw that and I was blown away. And I immediately I really went to the old Google machine and said, how much is that? And I said, oh God, oh God. Right. And then I was always in love with the GTR and the R8. I was just like, I looked at the price, oh God. And it was, I want to say 2012. There was there was a flood, right? Yeah, Hurricane Sandy, had basically, hit the East Coast and just ruined things. And I remember looking at this absolutely flooded out, ruined GTR, and they wanted $40,000, $60,000 for it. And I had just bought a house, and the insurance is like, yeah, man, I'm gonna give you like 60, 70K to fix it. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, did you just get the GTR? The flooded out GTR? I had to look at myself like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This desire for status is ingrained, it's reinforced. And after a certain point in time, you no longer have to worry about is is there some big bad, right? Is there some big bad out there making me want these things that I want? Or is it just where the jail is now? Is the CIA having another record year, or have they really been asleep at the wheel for such a long time because we're doing it to ourselves? I think we're doing it to ourselves at this point. So, I did the adult thing, and sometimes I do adult things like go to bed early when I'm not feeling well. And I said, I should probably just fix up this house that was right. And then when it came time to, all right, let me look. I want this R8. Have to I told myself, you need to buy a property first. You need to buy an asset that will pay for it. So that's what I did, right? That's what I did. All adult of me, right? But sometimes, we do the work over time. We build the assets. We build our sort of financial independence and sense of self, but our lust for women hasn't really abated. And we find ourselves in, silly situations, unenviable situations because, and I get it, right? Sometimes in our hunt for love or affection, or we just say, I got to make money. I got to do these things. If I made more money, she'd be attracted to me. So I lose the sense of self. I lose the ability to go up to a woman and say, hey, my name is blah, blah. Hey, blah, blah. I can't talk. I lost all of that. So I end up, on one of these, not me. Right? Right? First of all, like, I just want to say, not me. But this is for the next clip. I'm just teeing it up. Not me. Some of these guys on both sides, and they're making a lot of the wrong mistakes.
I find a lot of sugar daddies on Hinge because it's easier than like seeking arrangements.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm telling you.
Okay.
So, Hinge is easier, but obviously, like a lot of the
so you
guys,
found a 45-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how did it get to 5,000 hours a month? How does this happen?
So I was basically like, do you want to spoil me? Like, that's my hook. And then he's like, yeah, like, you're really pretty. And then I'm like, okay. Like, he's like, I like to give gifts and stuff. Like, but he's never been in, like, he never had like a sugar baby before. Like, that's
but
not
this
his
is
thing.
transactional. What was he getting?
That's what he is not really like a sugar daddy. He was my boyfriend who was giving me money.
French fries and some snatch for the 1.5 don't sound too bad.
Whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
Whatever they want?
Whatever they want. I charge extra for some things. Like this guy wanted me to piss on his hand.
What did you charge for pee hand?
$500 on top.
So to be clear, they can offer $1,000 and they got to go through dinner, whatever, and they get the.
Yeah.
And you're finding them where?
On Hinge.
And you're just saying $1,000 to.
No, it's not what I start with, but I'm like, do you want to spoil me? And then the sugar daddies are like, yeah. And then I tell them, and they're like, okay. Sugar daddies.
How often
the reason that I let them fuck me raw is because I have a cum king.
Because this is actually a serious thing.
Yeah. Listen, I apologize, right? When I put this show together, I thought it was apropos. My bad, right? My bad. Yeah, it got worse and then it continued to get worse. But this is the reality, right? This is reality. When you don't care about your money, you're more lonely and you want this attention, then you pay for that. Right? And listen, we don't king shame. If you want your hand to get pissed on, you want your hand to get pissed on. That's it's just not for me. I'm not into that. But if that's what you want, that's what you want. And if we say this on the channel a lot. I picked this up from some Kevin Sam. Fair exchange is no robbery. If you, as a man, are attracted to this level of of dysfunction, and this goes back to the main event, the main topic we're gonna talk about later, then listen, do you. But listen, before you guys revolt, before you guys end up leaving, we'll just move on to the next one. Uh, and she's been making the rounds right now on TikTok, and I can admit flat out, like I just kind of don't like her.
I don't respect men that are romantically interested in me because when I tell you that I treat men like garbage, I treat men like garbage, right? And so for a man to want to be in my orbit in that way, understand he is going through it. He wants to be there, but he is going through it. I am not making it easy. My mission in life is to be the bane of that man's existence. Like the way I would never be able to beat the man hater allegations if you saw the way I romantically interact with men. It's mean. Like there's not a single part of me that can be soft and romantic with a man unless I've already broken him. Like honestly, the only way a man is gonna get a little bit of softness out of me is after he's already broken down and sobbing in my lap, because I just like being mean to them,
Shit. So listen, we absolutely know if you put a man there saying that very same TikTok, Instagram, they cancel them. They shut the whole thing down easily, just like that, just like that. But this misandry becomes just a regular occurrence, a regular thing to say, right? And yeah, the first thing, and I try to be, I'm gonna say uniform when people come on here and they say things. I imagine, because again, this ties into what we're talking about later. There are men, there are these walks and people that are into stuff. The last person, she was saying like she pissed on someone's hand. He paid a big money for that. Maybe there's someone out there attracted to this woman in the moo who's openly verbally abusing them and thinks that this is the way. Remember, we had a video and she got a lot of notoriety because she was talking about how men are ugly. And you're looking and saying, "Are you serious?" Right? you know, yeah, it's usually the ones that looked at. I can't. This is the one saying, "Yo, I would love to see." Right, and this becomes a quality thing. I would love to see the men that you're browbeating. Right? And I'm making an assumption that this is real. I'm making an assumption that this is actually happening, that this is someone that is telling the truth. I don't think, but again, this ties into what we're talking about later. You get so caught up in the way you believe things should be, the way you believe things are, the way you look at the world, you think most people would be attracted to what I'm attracted to. And when I see a lot of these people having some of these thoughts and conversations, these think pieces, there's no way, right? There's no way that someone out there is literally out there and saying, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. Right? I feel good. You can't see someone like that and think, this is it. But I want to be open to the fact that I may be wrong. There may be someone out there that's really into something like that. I just can't see it. But again, later on we'll talk about that. It's obvious that there's probably some more truth to what she's saying than lies. We'll keep going.
I'm probably gonna see a specialist. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. Got 100K on my.
if she has been running after, I'm the king with Connor. Do you want to be T'Chaka or you want to be T'Challa? Which one? You can take your pick. Either way, hardship earth is yours because you know what? No one ever really proves it, right? No one ever goes and says, "This is the man. This is the photo of the man. This is the picture of the man," where we can see he's actually real. But it's easy rage bait, and we always have to allow that to be maybe the truth. You know, it could be just that. It's just flat out rage bait. And again, we see more of this trend. See a lot more of this trend where women are feeling free to call men unattractive and call them all everything, but the son of God, and it just be accepted. Whenever men get to that bag, to that point, and they start talking about women that way, there's always a marketed sort of move by larger mainstream media to put a thumb on that person's growth and their expansion and message. You see a lot of it gets challenged. How the red pill went from that was good actually. How the red pill went from being sort of counterculture to being referenced in movies, being referenced in that Netflix British series that was actually pretty good. Uh, to being out there in media. Whenever you see media start adopting things from the rest of us and that's our collective messages, that's when you know it's got real legs. And media, they're still going to feel as if they are the determinant of what is righteous. So they'll put their stamp of it. They'll get their speakers in place to start talking about it in whatever light they want. You got Jason Whitlock giving his take on things. You're like, who cared? Whoever cared to talk to you about this? This was our message, our thing. But now you have the larger global sort of population moving and decrying this thing. So again, right now we know that we can take from that, and I don't think this is too much of a logical leap to assume that, of course, the media, the larger population, is fine with misandry. It's fine with telling men you're ugly, you're disgusting, I hate you. I want to make your life, miserable. Listen, before we continue, hit that like button. We want to just give this streams more legs, more room, more things for the algorithm to bite and send it out forward. That's going to be the goal as we do, stream to stream to stream to stream, trying to get a little bit better each time. That's always got to be, that's always got to be the goal. Um, Actually, with anything, with anything you do, that's got to be the goal. Oh, we'll continue.
Tell me why I get so mad when an ugly man approaches me or tries to hit on me. Like, the audacity, like, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
So if you're into gaming, or at least gaming terminology and culture, you understand skill based matching. When we were in high school, I was really good, really really good at Smash Brothers, and I was really good at the Marvel versus Capcom, Street Fighter versus this. I was really good at that, right? Because I didn't see the game as a game, although it was super entertaining. You got your favorite characters, your Marvel characters, and characters from Street Fighter that you grew up with, and they're fighting each other. You can pick these. It's great, and then you got a chance to sit there and play with a bunch of your friends. But when online became a whole thing, people started having sort of issue because you can't beat the Koreans, right? You can't beat the Asians because they get early release and they can just dedicate an inordinate amount of time of getting really good at the game. So what they end up developing is called skill based matching. Right? You see the same thing in chess. For those of you that are outside of the gaming window, your elo rating. When you're not good, what good is it playing against a grandmaster? Awful, right? You'll never pick up the sticks. You'll never move the pieces again. You just say, I'm not doing that, right? So skill-based matching became a thing where he said, you're bad at this. You're great at this. Play your respective players. Well, we kind of see the same things a lot when it comes down to dating. When you're upset about the ugly men approaching you, yeah, skill-based matching. They're looking at you and saying, you're gettable. Sometimes, yes. Listen, we understand. There's men that will shoot their shot at Rihanna, at Beyonce, and he will live on his grandmother's couch, right? But that's respect to the game. You're supposed to do that, right? You're supposed to make moves like that. Right? Anyone brave enough to make a move like that, I salute you. Right? Go ahead, champ. But in reality, you tend to kind of pair off with who's your match. And sometimes, things get a little weird, things get a little screwed when we start looking at it and saying, well, what do you want from this man? I want him to make this amount of money. I want him to be this successful. I want him to be this traveled. And you could be an ugly MFer and have done all these things and get your time in the sun. That's possible. But for us regular degglers, right? And I'm going to consider her a regular deggler. Yeah, skill based matching. Right? You're getting approached. If you're getting approached by inordinate amount of unattractive men, yeah, they probably think you're close to their level, maybe 1 or 2 points away, and I think, yeah, this is doable. I could see myself with her. I could, and you can ask, most men. That's what they're doing. We know when we're shooting above our league, and sometimes the stars are simply lined up. We've had dreams. LeBron was telling, "Yo, you're the goat. You're the goat. Today's your day. Take the shot." You take the shot, right? You do what you can. That's all it is. When you instead of getting mad and feeling like there's something wrong with you because ugly men are approaching you, you should remember not 36 seconds ago you were complaining that men weren't approaching at all. We can go right back to that. In fact, that's probably still more the default than getting upset that people aren't coming after you in the way you want them to. But for those of you out here that are dating that can't find love, right? That can't find love. We've got to start looking at ourselves and asking different sort of questions. Is there something wrong with me? Because if you're out here free in the real world, not locked up, not jailed, and you can't seem to get a date, yeah, people behind bars got enough game, right? I wish they were like books, so we can sit there and study what they got going on. And shout out to my brother for sending me this one today.
A contractor who worked as a jail nurse is under arrest tonight. Investigators say she confessed to having a romantic relationship with an inmate and smuggling contraband into the Fulton County Jail. Channel 2's Michael Seiden broke the story on WSBTV.com. Joining us live now in Northwest Atlanta with how authorities, Michael, say this investigation began with a note.
Yeah, George, investigators tell us it was another nurse that actually found a handwritten note that exposed this alleged relationship. And tonight, we are getting a closer look at some of that other evidence that was found that led to the felony charge. A ring, a gold chain, and a bottle of perfume. Investigators say these gifts were not just tokens of affection, but evidence of a secret romantic relationship inside the Fulton County Jail. Former nurse contractor Naomi Anthony's under arrest and charged with a felony after authorities say she confessed to having a relationship with this man, an inmate, Antoine McCrae, who's been in custody since police arrested and charged him in 2024 in connection with multiple child sex crimes.
How? How, when you're free, do you choose a man like that? Right? And I know, and we don't have to speculate. We know for sure that his rap sheet was available to her. You know what he's in for, and this is the man you decide to be with. Okay, and I want to look at this and look at it in a wider light. A lot of the time, when men are getting the bad rap of saying that y'all ain't shit, these men do blah 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 blah, insert whatever. Right? Whatever happens in your individual relationship is then thrust upon the rest of us. We're somehow responsible for these people. We're responsible for the choices that you made, and that now makes us we have to deal with this. You chose poorly. This man is in prison. Full stop. Right? Full stop right there. He's in prison. He is in mother effing prison. And you're like, cool, I'm going to keep pushing. Now, I don't want to make it seem like this is some one-off, right? I had a friend that I used to work with. She went to federal BOP back in New York. She would tell me this was normal. Absolutely normal. Is it that being in prison sort of elevates the ability of your game, you just get real good with it. You just get real good with it. I get it. You got nothing else to do. So your tongue becomes silver. You become really, really good at it, right? Outside of the other stuff that's happening in prison. We'll leave that alone. You get really good at just enticing, at talking, at spitting that game. So now you get someone there, and proximity often breeds sort of this affection. I see you every day. I see you 5 days a week. Maybe you're doing overtime. I see you more. I'm saying the right things. And it's easy to say the right things because I'm listening to you talk about the things, right? I'm listening to you talk. I'm listening to you go back and forth. I'm listening to you tell me everything that you need to tell me about your life, about what's going on. So I know what to say. I know what to spit. I know what to do. And it becomes a very simple thing. Very, very simple thing for me to get all your attention. But why is there not a point in your life and you're saying,
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
you were locked up child abuse? Again, the bigger issue is when it turns out that your relationship with them, and we're not saying specifically this man in prison, right? We'll get to that in a second. But when your poor choices sort of reflective of your poor sort of life outlook, and then to have the conversation, and this is what's going on now. This was originally the idea for this. It's not always meant, but it's always meant. Where I'm somehow responsible for the choices that some other man made that I never met, that never crossed paths with, that I do a job, a steady job of making sure we don't cross streams, right? We're supposed to reference also prison reference. I don't want to be in the circles he's in. I don't want to be anywhere near there. I want to make sure I'm good. I want to make sure I'm elevating myself. I'm pushing, I'm pushing, I'm pushing, I'm pushing. What am I supposed to do when that is your standard and you bring that forward? You think this is normal. Hey, all these dudes are like this. I'm never a fan of writing someone off completely, but something like that, you have to. You have to. You have to just say, yo, this is not working out. We're not the same. We're not moving the same. Whatever else you got going, it ain't for me. It ain't for me. Let's let this continue.
Investigators say the two met while Anthony was working inside the jail and that the alleged relationship appeared to be getting serious before her arrest.
Had gone out and purchased herself and our inmate matching wedding rings.
So were they planning on getting married?
I have not delved into that just yet.
Investigators say the case broke open when someone came across a handwritten note inside the jail. According to court documents, the note described plans to bring drugs into the facility, along with sexual activity inside a nurse's station. Authorities say the note also referenced a payment totaling $1,300 made through Cash App to Anthony.
Someone noticed something irregular in terms of the nurse's behavior, in terms of how she and/or was moving.
Earlier this month, investigators say they received an anonymous tip claiming Anthony was hiding marijuana on her body to avoid detection by jail scanners and using an iPhone to communicate with McRae. When investigators questioned her, authorities say Anthony tried to hide her phone, but eventually admitted she started the relationship in October. And while we were inside the jail today, we actually saw a new security scanner that was getting ready to be installed. Just another reminder that Sheriff Labatt is not messing around when it comes to keeping contraband out of his jail. Also, that suspect, she did waive her first court appearance. A judge set her bond at $5,000. Last check, she remains behind bars. We're live in Northwest Atlanta. Michael Seiden, Channel 2 Action News.
Those of you on the vertical stream, on the short stream, we're going to jump over that in a second. But thank you for bearing with me where we try to make this happen, and we'll get the resizing done. This was I want to say last minute, but trial and error, right? Trial and error in the hope of advancement. You try to make things better, but we'll go on to after we move on to the next session. I'll switch over to that chat and reply to guys in there, guys and girls in there. But like I said, when you see stuff like this, and again, shout out to my brother for sending me this, right? And he's a nurse, so some of this sort of hits home when this is happening. Yes, this is a normal thing. This is a very, very normal that happens when you are in proximity to people. It's not always about it. You can't tell me it's because he's got six figures. You can't tell me it's that. You can't tell me it's because is he emotionally intelligent with his rap sheet? Now, honestly, we have to look and say, what is it that is wrong with her? in terms of childhood trauma, in terms of her own trauma, that makes you think this person is a viable partner. On that on that note, we'll talk about, the next two clips that they're in conjunction, right? It's the same woman who exemplifies how your damage early on reflects, and listen, I want to be first. I want to be firm on this. What happens earlier on in your life does not mean this is the end all be all for you. We like to look and say the childhood trauma, this happened to me, therefore I am screwed up. There's no helping me, there's no saving me. This is who I am. It is what it is. I know that's wrong. Right? You can change. Life is not predetermined because this happened to you. This is who you are. That's not how it works. That's never been how it works. We just get very lazy, right? And the one of the videos I posted today, not today, during the week was about, we're kind of lazy, we're kind of weak. We get a little struck down, and that's it. We're down and out. That's it. Now the rest of our life is effed up, and we never really have a good chance of moving forward. This is it for us. We need to have more resilience. The greatest generation, they said, right? And I don't think you can really argue with that. The ones that went over there and fought the Nazis, right? You got to give it to them. You got to give them something. The greatest generation. They did the damn thing. Let me just read this real quick. I think they're desperate to feel like a prisoner. Someone beneath them would be appreciated. Yeah, you don't have to be in prison. Like, for those of you on the other chat, yeah, just Ms. Jazz is saying, I think they're desperate to feel like a prisoner. Someone beneath them would be appreciative. They should finally have someone to worship them. Yeah, I don't think you have to be in prison to see this. Again, this goes into the main event, the main topic, where we see people getting with people that are dysfunctional, are sort of screwed up, and then look and say, this is normal. This is normal. This is great. This is what we should be doing. But back to a different level of dysfunction. Depending how you grew up, what you saw, your environment, that does not mean the rest of your life is going to be like this. It does when you release the reins of authority, you simply get along to get along. That's when pipelines become real. That's when, hey, because this happened, you didn't have the dad in house, you're supposed to go, statistically, supposed to go to prison. Growing up, obviously, Black. Hey, my mom talked about diabetes, high blood pressure. I was 6 years old. I still hear her voice. Sometimes when you're making coffee in the morning and you want to just dump a boatload of sugar in it, my mom's telling me you're about to get diabetes. Every time I do an annual checkup or go for checkups, have any blood drawn, hey, how's my A1C? Hey, how's my glucose? I'm like, yo, you're fine. Stop worrying about that. Anything that was a genetic issue in the Black community, I would go to the doctor and say, why are you asking? Because I've been scared straight. So you are not the sum total of the damage that happened to you early when you had no real choice. But it's up to you to determine whether or not you want better for yourself. And some of us, we never rise to that.
I think that I never wanted to get married because I ain't never seen a happy marriage. Mm-hmm. My grandma should have left her husband so long ago, but she is a dumb woman. Mm-hmm. And she is a weak woman. And she is a woman, I tell her to her face, I'd never want to be like you when it comes down to being married.
With a man.
With a man. Mm-hmm. And I think me seeing I don't think none of my aunts, uncles, or nobody, all their marriages was horrible. So I just ain't never wanted to do that.
For one, we just call Granny dumb.
She is.
We talking about Granddad?
He's worse.
What have you ever committed to?
Have I ever committed fully in a relationship? Absolutely not.
Commitment at times don't mean the absence of betrayal, disappointment. I ain't saying go for anything in a relationship or a marriage. Some people have committed to loving people for who they are. Now, I'm saying this on a healthy aspect though. Not a granddaddy and grandmama them, long as he was.
Come on, no. So listen, I know what you're thinking. You got gold teeth, but he's spitting. He's making a lot of sense. And if you've been attached to social media at all, you've seen her lately, right? And hold that image you had in your head of her. We'll give you a quick playback.
I think that I never wanted to get married because I ain't never seen a happy marriage.
All right, you follow me, right? Didn't see a happy marriage. Never want to get married. Never that commitment issues. Cool. We know when you don't do anything, when you let the world decide for you what it has in store for us.
Why nobody ever asks baby daddies, why'd you get her pregnant? Why is it always to the baby mamas, you chose him? Bitch, I ain't choose that motherfucker. I was just laying down being nasty, and he got me pregnant.
Right now, she is blowing up on social media via TikTok, going back and forth. There's a 10-part series about her and the wife of her baby daddy and all this back and forth nonsense. I could not find the time or the energy to go back and say, this makes any sense. Let me go through this. Let me see if any of this. I literally couldn't. I couldn't. Because it's so just like, it's tiring. It's tiring to see stuff like that and to see where you can talk calmly and call, you can call your grandmother an idiot for staying with a man. Your grandmother doesn't have these baby daddy issues, these baby mama issues. It's not beefing with a man's wife over what he's doing and who he's choosing to be with. When we've eliminated shame, we've eliminated that completely from our community, where you think you're going on here, and because attention is good, you want to get your point across. You don't understand, just like the opening monologue with Corey Holcomb and Anton, we all lose for this. Other races look and they say, okay, business as usual, and I've got black fatigue. It's business as usual. Here you are screaming into your phone about being a baby mama and how it's not really your fault. It's he should share the responsibility. Yo, I don't know about you guys, but in my circle, if you don't take care of kids, we absolutely shame you. We absolutely shame you.
How don't you think it's more like he chose us rather than we chose him?
We, us. Come on.
But it's like nobody ever blames the baby daddy or call him the goofy one. Because if I'm not mistaken, he is the one that gets to choose if he's here or not, whether he pays or not. And then when the woman complains, it's that bitch living off of me. He only sends $35 a month. That bitch living off of me. That goofy ass bitch. She out here trying to find another nigga to take care of my motherfucking kids, although I'm not taking care of my motherfucking goofy bitch. But nobody ever says, why'd you get her pregnant? Why did you? Because men can control where they release. We can't control if he's on top of us and he's stronger than us and he's really digging in there and we push him off. 9 times when we push him, it's like we just pushing a brick wall because that nigga stays there. And he's like, then when he's there, he goes,
Man, that sounds like a whole different scenario. That sounds like a whole different scenario you might want to get, talk to someone about. That we'll leave that aside. But some of the other stuff, like again, it's a 10-part series. Last I checked. You think your grandma, like we get so easy to judge and call out people, especially relatives, especially older generations. We don't have a clue what they went through. We don't really understand their lives. We look at it and we just think this is normal. This is normal behavior, or what's wrong with them. They can't get, we don't understand the nuance of the time, of the people, of how they moved, how they believed, what was important to them. We just think we know it all. Then you look at the product of our lives, right? You look at the product of our lives, and you are running and gunning and doing the worst of what we could be doing. We think this is something we should applaud. Listen, we'll keep going. All right, time for one of my favorite segments, agree or disagree. But we tend to already know where a lot of this stuff goes. Most of us end up agreeing with what I'm putting down. But in the essence and the fairness of you find yourself on the other side of it, you know, chime in. We're interested. But again, hit that like button on your way in. Uh, comment, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate anything. We're just trying to grow. And consider donate to the channel if you like this type of content. And you want to help it sort of grow because I could use some help. Definitely not. All right, let's keep going.
If you're a feminist, you should only be eating pussy. I hate feminists because why would you still allow niggas to come, cum, and leave? If you're a feminist, you should only be eating pussy. You shouldn't even like dick, bitch. You shouldn't have no motherfucking sons, and you shouldn't need a nigga to do anything for you. Not change your tire, not change your oil, not pump no motherfucking gas, nothing. A nigga shouldn't be able to do anything for you if you're a motherfucking feminist, bitch. Do everything on your own. Bitch, you a motherfucking feminist. Shouldn't no niggas be holding the door for you. You got this. What, bitch? Your house is on fire? If it ain't no fire woman pulling up, let that motherfucker burn to the ground. You bitches hate men so much, but guess where you originated from, bitch? A nigga's balls.
It's hard to disagree when people are stating facts, right? And we want to classify it. We want to classify it properly, right? We're not saying that feminists in the sense that you just don't like men, period, at all, right? Or you're like all men fucking doesn't matter. It's all ubiquitous. We had that clip. It was a while ago, and not the most recent one, where women were talking about, yeah, you should abort black babies, black male babies, and then that got a lot of praise in that little circle because you're just so comfortable with misandry. Okay, let's play that out. Let's say that is the MO. That is what we're doing. Keep it going. Leave men alone. If you hate men so much, please just leave them alone. Become a lesbian, get in relationships, do what you want. But if we take a second to really consider and really think about the statistics, right? Because we love math, we love stats because they can give us a better through line than just this sort of gossip or these hit pieces. You see the divorce rate among lesbian women or the DV rate. It's higher than any other class, than heterosexual couples, than gay males. Is the highest class, highest. What are we really arguing about here? Right? And I know sometimes it becomes easy because it's brainwashing. You become indoctrinated by what you're seeing, and you think this is normal. You think this is the way to be. You think this is how people move. These is how people actually regularly move. No, they don't. This is not the most important thing to them. It's not about this hate. It's not. Most of us are just going about our business, going about our lives, and saying, "I'm good. I'm super duper good. None of this really matters to me. I'm gonna keep it pushing." But if you want to be one of these staunch people, and by staunch, I'll give you an example. And I don't want to say this is a feminist one, but with the recent shooting in Minnesota, Ice Agent, there's a group of women, a group of Caucasian women, talking about how their husbands failed them. Now, when they brought this to their attention, and they were not freaked out, right? Because we understand there's a difference in how we process emotions, especially as a man and hopefully as a husband and a father. You need to be more stoic. You can recognize that things are tense, dangerous, and you know that, okay, cool, get it, understandable, but I need to be the rock. I need to be this bastion, this lighthouse in which you crash against, and everything will be all right. So they're coming to the husbands, and he's not hysterical. You take it as he somehow doesn't care. He doesn't see it as a threat. You don't live anywhere near Minnesota. You guys are white, right? Like you guys aren't out there protesting. Why do you think someone's going to put a bullet in you? That's the man's response. He's telling you, "Oh, calm down," and they're talking about, "I'm ready to divorce him. I'm absolutely ready, ready to divorce him." This is the programming. This is just the programming at work. You use this as an ability or as an excuse to go as wild and as far as you think makes sense. But in reality, life is a lot more simple, especially when you actually have, when you're partnered properly. Life is a lot more simple. But again, one of the fundamental issues, one of the fundamental differences is we don't have an ability to understand what is important to either party. That old saying that you don't ask a fish how to catch it. You ask a fisherman how to fish. Men have understood that because of their own sort of experiences in dealing with women while listening to what women are saying. Right?
So I think very strongly that if a man wants to date women, he should be listening to women about what it is that they want rather than listening to men talk about what it is that women want. And there's been an odd, aggressive pushback to this belief. Men think that women lie about what they want, and men are taught that they have to lie about who they are in order to get a woman to be interested in them. And in these male media spaces, they're told that there is nothing they can do to attract a woman if they are not super, super attractive and if they don't make a lot of money. And it's weird to me how I can tell men that you can be who you are and listen to regular women about what it is that they want from men, and they're so willing to push back against that idea and say it doesn't matter what they do or who they are, no woman will ever like them. Is that not?
I think you have to take into consideration the male experience. And sometimes, often, most of the time, women don't get how barren and sort of awful it is. They're what they say 40% of men are not going to pass on their genetic material. Right? There was on a Diary CEO podcast where people were up in arms because the way he phrased it and said, "Do you think there should be societal intervention?" And a woman saying, "Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? This is simply survival of the fittest in that sense. Why why would there need to be intervention if this is simply natural selection at its core?" Well, and I haven't seen him respond to that. I don't think it's enough of a uproar where he's gonna notice anything like that. But the point is that unless you actually understand and talk to men, I think this woman's a psychologist. You actually understand men and listen to what they have to say about their actual experience. You'd find, that it's very different. There was that woman that pretended to be a man for a year and a half, talking about, and she went on dates and revealed this, and she said how lonely it was. She saw what it was, and then she self deleted soon after that. When women do that, play that game where they create a profile and be as a man and go to dating apps and see, it's nothing like my dating app. I'm inundated with attention, 40, 50 likes within an hour. A man will have to go an average man will probably have to go 2 to 4 years before he gets that same amount of attention. And he probably have to travel around to do it. So we have this inability to recognize that our experiences as men and women's experiences as women are not one for one. You think, all right, if you simply just tell men what women are saying, hey, this is what I want. Yeah, men have learned the hard way that it's better to respond to what your actions are saying is important to you. I'll use that. That'll be the rubric because women will frankly tell you, I want this. And then on Tuesday, I want that. How many times do we see videos now? And I do a job. I'm trying to do a good job of finding a lot of these and then put them in the lineup. Where women saying, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I just changed my mind." And I'm not saying that you should continue to be with someone that you obviously do not want to be with. But when you change your mind, means destroying a thing you built with children. Right? And it would be different if you just say, "Hey, listen, I changed my mind. I'm going to withdraw from this. I don't want anything from you. I just want to do this. How can I support the kids, you? But I understand I changed my mind. Let me withdraw peacefully." No, it's a grenade that goes off, and everyone's left sort of piecing these things together. And he has to now support your decision financially because you decided to leave. So this is why men have a hard time listening stuff like this and saying, "Okay, it's got to be true."
Weird? Do you not see it as weird that you have been indoctrinated to think that no matter what you do, there will never be a woman out there who can love you? So when I say listen to women, I'm not telling you to change yourself. I'm telling you to hear that the asks that women have of you are reasonable. That you can be who you are and show up as you are, and there are women out there who are totally open to that. That in fact, the majority of women are looking for people who are kind, good communicators. They're vulnerable and honest. They care about your emotions.
Yeah, men are like that though. And I don't really like that. Hey, we're good to move things from A to B, right? We're good with suppressing our emotions. We're good with being stoic. We're not really vulnerable, right? And that's another section. That's another topic where vulnerability, guys, it has to be like Mjolnir. You got to earn it. You have to earn it. You got a bad track record dealing with our vulnerability because you get emotional and want to feel that it's fine for you to be this way and that way. And you throw it all in our faces. You discredit the effort that we put in. Things we could be good to you for 5 years. I could be taking out the trash for 5 years straight. Uncanny, unasked. My superpower is taking out the trash. I got it. I mess up on Wednesday. You blow up at me. You discount everything that I've done because now you're focused emotionally on right now. There could be 1,000 other things that happened in the day, but it made you emotional right now where you feel like I'm now going to let off on you because here is a clear-cut example of where you fell short. It does not matter. For 5 years, my superpower has been taking out the trash on time. Men have experienced that. Say, wait, what about all this? No, it doesn't matter. Because the silent part when we're arguing is right now. I feel like you don't love me. Yeah, I've showed you how much I love you. It's right now. This thing that happened right now says it. That's how men have to interpret the way women speak. You got to put on a filter. You got to put on a translator. It's probably easier to learn, Dothraki or Klingon, show my nerd side, than to really sit here and be like, yeah, I'm just going to believe everything you have to say.
And they want to be cared about in return. And it's weird to me how big of a pushback there's been to that message. That men would rather say, I am unlovable because I am not the most attractive person in the room and because I don't make a lot of money. And so I'm going to sit back and I'm going to hate women and I'm going to believe that I am patently unlovable in this world.
A lot of men think they're unlovable because the world doesn't love them. Hey, we think we're unlovable in the sense where we don't get coddled. We don't get the soft shoes, the soft gloves. We don't get that. Right? We get we get what we get. We get what we earn. Right? And sometimes not even that. Uh, that's just the life of a man. It's not a heroic one. It's not a great one. So when they make it, when they do the work and they make something of themselves, that's why they're very, 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 very stringent. It's that they're very shredded. Like you don't get to just come in and decide, I want everything you created. I want just as much authority as you have over your dominion as you do. You don't get that because he knew what it take to get here. That's why when we see you sort of being helped and short-shoed, that's why we look and say, okay, it's not really the same. We don't think that you don't love us because we aren't lovable in that sense. We just hear what women are saying, what they're putting forward, what they're responding to. You want the flash, the status. I don't got that. I don't got that. Right? There's a bunch of TikToks, there's a bunch of social media right now where I could find a guy saying like, "Yo, I've tried, I've tried." Yeah, but he's not a conventionally attractive guy. He's a nerd, and he's like, "Yo, you said you wanted nerds." Yeah, they didn't mean you playing Yu-Gi-Oh, playing poker. They didn't mean you. They meant the attractive Idris Alba with glasses. That's the nerd, right? That's the one they're interested in.
When there is evidence of ugly people marrying all the time, and there's evidence of poor people marrying all the time, and the idea that women only care about attractiveness and wealth, and also that you complain about the fact that women date these under the bridge men, those things coexist in society at the same time. So from the top, I don't think men have to change themselves to find a good woman. I think that they need to do a better job of understanding that women want realistic standards for men, things like being a good person and a well-rounded person, which I think men are whole people that come to the table with lots of things about them that are interesting, but maybe aren't showing that effectively. And if you're interested in dating women, you would be better served listening to women than you would be listening to men tell you that you can never be good enough by being who you are.
Listen, like men aren't telling you, yeah, we're telling you you're not good enough. That's classic man advice. That's classic male advice. Yo, you're sitting there playing video games. Your pot belly is growing larger by the day. You are not good enough for that lady you're attracted. That is male advice. Bro, you're kind of wilding out. You're falling off. You're not good enough. That's male advice. That's really it, right? But sometimes it's completely absent of a woman. It's just saying You're shooting too high. You just came out of college, you want to be a CEO. Men are gonna say, yo, you haven't earned that. That's not you. That's not where you're supposed to be. Particularly with women. We understand. We're listening to what women are saying, especially because you're telling us right here you want us to listen to what you're saying. So we're listening to what's being put out there. And then, but more importantly, we try that, we listen to the action. We see what you respond to. It is the guy with the money. It is the guy with the status. It is the guy with the wealth. Part of the problem, and I've had this conversation with just Miss Jazz several times. You good women are silent. You good women that go to the book clubs, that do the right thing, that love black men, that want to love on black men, you're really silent. When it comes to a lot of this, you're quiet, quiet. I know you got friends out there that are saying awful things, and we don't see pushback. So a lot of us just say, okay, cool. I'm going to watch the action. And I see that I'm not defended in these, so I won't be in these spaces. Some of the reaction, yes, it's just like she's saying, men are going to withdraw when men are going to say, okay, I'm not lovable in this sense. And then you can have men of means that say, cool, got it. I'm going to go outside the race. I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to find something else. Or I'm just going to focus on my purpose. And I'll let that be a thing that happens or doesn't happen. I don't keep it pushing. I'm going to keep it moving. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, okay, great. No, but there's so many different ways that we can go about dating, getting to know each other. And one of the things that men are paying attention to is what's said and action is when you come across women are saying that you have to pay for their maintenance. You have to give them, even some going as far as saying you have to give me a deposit before I consider dating you. Deposit for my time because it costs a lot for me to get ready for the date. And there's an app for that.
After I said I would require a deposit to take me on a date to cover my date preparation costs, I'm now working with an app developer to make this a reality. This is actually happening. We are building the app. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you this is the best damn dating app you have ever seen, because there is a clear difference here where the woman can set the deposit rate and the man can pay for her date preparation costs. So as a woman, you're going to walk into the date already so happy, and that's going to lead to a better date and a better connection, and that gives the man a better chance of succeeding in courting you. The app is called Courted. So when people ask, how did you meet? You can say, he courted me. So cute. The website already looks absolutely stunning, and the app itself, incredible. All of the features are so unique and nothing like you've ever seen on any dating app. Oh, and to everyone who said you can't do that, guess what? I just did. So we are going to launch this city by city. And if you want early access, click the link in my bio and sign up. Let's make dating fun again. Love you.
So listen, so you don't got to check it out. I checked it out, right? I checked the website. It's a sleek looking website. It's sleek looking, right? And this isn't some, I just went to chat GBT, make this thing for me. Well, I use Claude. No, this is good. It looks good. I think the premise is stupid, but it looks good. If you want to be courted, that is a thing that's community sort of pushed forward. We don't have that community. This is just going to be another app that, just like the T app, just like dating apps, just like Instagram. Everything ends up being a way for you to simply monetize from that. This is going to be just like a sugar daddy site. This is my prediction, right? And I hope that I'm proven wrong. I hope this is somehow the cure. But to think that simply because you set a rate, you set a price, that a man has to give you this deposit. And I don't know if it's a refundable. I'm going to assume it's not. You got to give her a deposit, and that says, okay. Because why would you be happy if a man put a deposit and it's refundable if you guys actually go on a date and you have a good time? No, you're definitely putting a rate because you think this is what you're entitled to, what you deserve. If I have to pay you, if men in general said I have to pay $100, $200, $300 in order for me to to just simply go on a date with you, to figure out to pay more, to pay for the date, to figure out if we're actually compatible, it's not going to be long before men are getting taken advantage of openly on some of these places. And it simply devolves into what it is. Hey, your rate for this date is $200. Why don't you just come over? Why don't you just come over? Right? This is the new Backpage. This is new Craigslist. Why don't you just come over? I'll give you the money. I got no problem parting with the money. Just come over. Give me what I want. I'll give you what you want because this date's not it. No, you want the money. If you were really that person that men were desirous of, you wouldn't have swept up already. And in trying to do research for this segment and for this video, I went, search her page, single mom, right? You know, she can put the look together if that's what you're looking for. But the idea that if men simply pay for something, they're now going to see the value in it. Or you set a rate a man pays, now you're going to be happy because you see that he's invested in this. The unfortunate truth is that men with means, men with money, and men without money are they're very happy to separate themselves for that money to buy the outcome. Dating is a risk. Dating means you can go out, you can strike out, you can head out right now on the town, look good, smell good, and return home with nothing, no prospects, nada. Who wouldn't want to guarantee? So if you can budget, if you can set, or if someone's rate is well within your budget because you're not broke, you just say, all right, cool, it's no problem. $200, $300, depending how I view, depending whether I think it's worth it. Money is the very easiest thing for people to part with. Their time, their care, their vulnerability, that's the real expense. But when we get so wrapped up in thinking that courtship is talking about money, it was a meeting of the families. They understood who your people were. You were evaluated since you were little. You were groomed and you were raised, and don't think groom in the wrong way. In the sense of I'm trying to make sure you are a righteous individual. I'm teaching you how to be a wife. I'm teaching you how to be a husband. I'm teaching you how to be productive, how to take care of your family. This is how courting was supposed to go. Not, hey, you kind of look good. I'll put $200 in the deposit box. We can do our thing. If you think that makes sense, if you think this is just won't be the newest, most accessible sugar baby app, right, then, you got me. We'll continue to the last segment so we can tie a lot of this together. Again, hit the like button, consider subscribing, share this video, share this live stream. We're going to be adults and schedule the next one ahead of time. I'll probably do that right after this stream ends and maybe jump on a mobile live like we did last time. We had a really great conversation. So in the hopes of chasing something like that, we'll do it sometimes just for practice. So listen, we're back. Last segment, right? The main segment. And one of the things that whenever I'm trying to put this together, I'm thinking about what's a coalescing, what's a big enough topic, with something that's kind of a rattle around my brain for the week, because we try to do this week to week. And one of the things, I guess familiar with Love Live, Olivia. She was not so recently, sent to prison over child support or lack of child support. And one of the, I was going back and forth in the email about her, and one of the things that someone brought up and just went through the list of baby daddies, this person, this person, this person, and what was rattling around my brain is when you can see someone's dysfunction, and I don't like to make sort of judgments about how someone looks because that could be very much dependent on what you're into, right? You may be into her look, her aesthetic. And because I'm not, I tend to think no one else is. But different strokes, different smokes. If that is what you're into, that's what you're into. But when you look and see there's a level of dysfunction in someone's life, how could we be into dysfunction? How can we look at that and say, this is cool? I'm interested in how your life is barely together and hanging on by threads. How is that something that I should be looking at and say, this is what I want? This looks good to me. This makes sense to me in my life. How do we get from I'm living my life to I'm seeing that and saying, yeah, this makes like just as Josh said earlier, sometimes you look at someone and you see it's a level of control. Their life is in shambles. And you thinking, okay, my life isn't. There's a power imbalance. There's an authority imbalance. And if I were to get with that person, I'd have this person, I'd be feel safer because my life's together. So I use live as an example because this, with you broadcasting your entire life for people to see, for people simply tune in. And sometimes, when I'm trying to look for inspiration or strategy, how to improve things, I'll scroll through people's lives and I'll see what they're doing, what they're talking about, how they're moving, how the setup looks. Because you got to do research. And there'll be any number of people, with hundreds of people in there, hundreds of people in there. And sometimes someone's just simply sleeping, and I know this is a thing over time, but when I used to look at her lives, yeah, she'd be getting donations and people be in there, people be supporting her. There's something innate with us that makes us look at some people's lives and say, this is attractive. Now, is it one of those childhood traumas where I did not get a good example like the young lady showed earlier, thinking her grandmother, was a piece of crap? So now she didn't want to be anything like that. She never wanted to be married. She never had a good example. But now her life is screaming on TikTok about baby daddies. Is that somehow a win or a change? Or what makes us look at someone's life and say, I want to now attach myself to this? Now this is for the guys. When you see someone like Liv and you say, yes, I'm gonna put my baby in here. I'm gonna stick my wee wee, my willy, my dick. I'm gonna put it in here and think this is a move. Some of the guys I understand, you were living a halfway house. You were homeless essentially. Here she came and you looked at this. Maybe this was a chance for you to get warm, more ways than one. But when we see someone's life and it's not going well, and then we think that somehow our life would be better with it, or is it more or less a reflection of how we internally view ourselves? Don't think that we're worthy, we're worth it, or we realize that our life is just the same. We're so used to this level of dysfunction that this is normalized. It's like in the Black community when you purchase your and I just want to keep it Black, right? But when either you live in a trailer because your grandmother and your mother and your father lived in a trailer, so this is where you grew up, this is where you live, this is normal to you. Or you purchase your furniture from rent a center because that's what your grandmother did, it's what your mother did it, and you continue that. This is where you're kept. This is where you're isolated. So what is dysfunctional to us is normal to you. So it makes sense why you seek that thing. It's very difficult. And for those of you that have made something in your life, despite your early upbringing, kudos to you. Shout out to you. That's not a easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to manage. We don't give people enough credence to saying, came from this and this is where I am. And sometimes you want that difference to be larger, but it's not. But it's significant. It's still important. It's still nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to just think it's his normal behavior. So when we look at these people, these women, and he already has 6, 7 kids, right? That's not Liv. But he already has 6, 7 kids, and you think, why? Outside of the celebrities, outside of the rappers, what is the hope? What is the thought process that somehow this will be better? This will be beneficial for you, especially when you have no children. How does that make any sense? For men going into situations where you obviously look and say, none of this makes sense. There's 3 different kids, 3 different baby daddies, there's this, or 6 kids, 5 kids. And you're thinking, this would be good for me? I say this or bring this up because sometimes we get sort of, I don't want to say caught up, but our life is our life. Our world is our world. The way we view the world, the way we see things is very much pigeonholed. I expect other men to be as confident and comparable as And then when I get out in the real world and I'm met face to face with a lot of these and I reveal, hey, I do this, I manage this and this. And this. And they look at me like, that's extraordinary. But I think extraordinary is normal. So sometimes when we see what we see as dysfunction is very much normal to people. This is the way they live. This is their life. Everything here is normal. It's normal for you to have 4 or 5 kids by the time you're 30, 40. When you don't, you look at it as abnormal. There's more and more videos coming in where women are saying, well, if he doesn't have kids, he hasn't been married, or what's going on? He's 30, 40 years old. Now you start looking and saying there's got to be something wrong with him. Discernment has become sort of the evil word, has become the F word. When you decide and say, I don't want these things to happen for me, therefore, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to move strategically. No movement is wasted. We look at that and say, there's something wrong with you. And it becomes almost innocent when you say, that's just them over there. I can separate, I can elevate. I'm going to move like this over here. But when you watch the trend become normal, when that becomes defensible, when the celebrities, when the people you adore, when they start pushing messages like this, when it's fine for them to be a baby mama, be a baby daddy, that is a normal point of view. When no one is sort of getting married and showing you what the example should be, start thinking dysfunction is normal. You should be attracted to dysfunction. I'm just here to say maybe we should start thinking and saying,
wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
I'd rather leave this planet without kin, without children, and leaving something to my niece, the rest of my family, than to make a mistake because I witnessed someone's dysfunctional life and I just said, fuck it. I'd rather not curse my grandmother, and I never knew my grandparents, and say their life was stupid, their life was messed up, and then continue, then go about my business and be just an example of Black fatigue online, screaming about baby daddy, screaming about a wife, someone that would, even if you're the baby mama, that's the wife. She managed to wrangle the thing that you wanted. You couldn't do it, and somehow now you guys are going back and forth. It cheapens you. It cheapens all of us. Like Anton and Corey Holcomb beefing. We're all worse for the experience. That's what I think. And like all the videos, see you in the next one.